When disaster strikes, will you be ready? Most people think they are prepared for the worst, but the truth is chilling essential survival items are often overlooked. Beyond the basic first aid kits and bottled water lie crucial tools that could mean the difference between life and death. These aren't the items you see on every must-have list, and their absence could plunge you into chaos when the unthinkable happens. It's time to face the grim reality and arm yourself with the knowledge to survive. Here are 12 survival items everyone needs, but no one has until it's too late. 1. Water filtration straw. Imagine being stranded in a survival scenario, no crisp bottles of water waiting for you, no pristine lake to quench your unbearable thirst, only stagnant, mud-clouded puddles reeking of decay. Water is life, they tell us, yet it can just as easily be death without the right tools. Most people severely underestimate this reality. That's why you'd be horrified to know that while water filtration straws exist compact, ingenious devices capable of filtering the filthiest sludge into drinkable water, they are woefully absent from most people's survival kits. The grim truth? Clean, potable water is often the first resource to vanish in a crisis. Within hours, dehydration sets in, gnawing at your strength, clouding your judgment, and forcing you to make desperate decisions. That murky creek by the roadside may seem like salvation, but hidden within it lurks a cocktail of bacteria, parasites, and toxins waiting to invade your body. Without the protection of a reliable water filtration straw, what could have saved your life might very well end it. Dysentery, cholera, or worse, these are not horror stories from history. These remain a clear and present danger when water safety is neglected. Why, then, are these miraculous tools so often overlooked? Is it ignorance, arrogance, or a dangerous cocktail of both? Perhaps people assume clean water will somehow always be accessible, or they mistakenly trust outdated purification techniques that are cumbersome and unreliable. Where purification tablets might take hours to work and boiling water requires both fuel and time you may not have, a water filtration straw offers instant, life-saving hydration directly from the source. Yet disturbingly few include it in their gear, gambling their survival on familiar conveniences that will crumble when catastrophe strikes. You might think this is paranoia, but think again. Natural disasters, societal collapse, or even something as simple as a wrong turn into the wilderness can leave you without access to safe drinking water. The lack of a water filtration straw isn't just an oversight, it's a death sentence hiding in plain sight. Something so small, so lightweight, could mean the difference between enduring harsh conditions or succumbing to them. But nobody talks about that, do they? 2. Portable solar charger. Imagine being stranded, miles away from civilization, with your phone battery dying and no hope of recharging it. It's a scenario straight out of every survivalist's nightmare. And yet most people neglect to equip themselves with one vital piece of gear that could save their lives: a portable solar charger. This unassuming device is often overlooked, but in a crisis, it could be the difference between life and death. When disaster strikes and power grids fail, or you're forced into the wilderness, a portable solar charger ensures your devices stay alive. Whether it's your phone to make a desperate call for help, a flashlight app to cut through the suffocating darkness, or a GPS to find your way out of a hostile environment, having power in your hands is not just a convenience, it's survival. What makes a portable solar charger so essential is its ability to harness the sun's immense and infinitely renewable energy. Even in the darkest moments of human desperation, the sun will rise, and with it, your chance to recharge and regroup. Unlike traditional, finite battery packs that drain and leave you helpless, a solar charger feeds off the one source we all have: access to sunlight. Forget scrambling for outlets or stockpiling batteries like a paranoid hoarder. All you need is a clear sky. Plug in and watch the power flow back into your device like a lifeline being thrown into unrelenting waters. But here's the kicker: very few people own one. It's baffling how so many prepare bug-out bags stuffed with knives and fire starters yet fail to acknowledge the value of keeping their lifelines powered. Imagine the dread of holding a phone that can't even turn on when the undead stalk the streets, or an apocalyptic storm cuts off your connection to the world. Without a portable solar charger, your devices are nothing more than dead weight. Don't wait for the lights to go out before you realize you're unprepared. A portable solar charger isn't just practical, it's survival insurance. You may never think you'll need it until you do, and by then it might be far too late. Item 3. Emergency thermal blanket. Imagine your body succumbing to the unrelenting grip of cold, your limbs shaking uncontrollably, your breath coming in shallow, frantic gasps. Hypothermia is a silent killer, creeping in faster than you'd expect when you're exposed to freezing temperatures without proper protection. This is where the emergency thermal blanket becomes your last line of defense. Often underestimated, this unassuming piece of gear could mean the difference between survival and succumbing to the icy clutches of nature's wrath. Designed to trap your body heat efficiently, it creates a reflective barrier that helps stave off the rapid heat loss that occurs in bone-chilling conditions. Don't be fooled by its simplicity. This life-saving tool is engineered for survival, not comfort. What makes the emergency thermal blanket so hauntingly effective is its compact and lightweight nature. Like a shadow you can carry, it takes up almost no space in your survival kit, content to wait quietly for the moment it's called upon. It weighs almost nothing, but don't mistake this for weakness. Its strength lies in how easily it can turn a dire scenario into a second chance. Without it, you are exposed and vulnerable, left to the mercy of an environment that won't hesitate to strip away your last reserves of energy while your body shivers itself into exhaustion. You might think an emergency thermal blanket is trivial, just another item that will take up space, but such thoughts could cost you dearly when frost begins to bite. This blanket doesn't just fight the cold, it's also a barrier against the unforgiving elements. Rain and wind become relentless enemies in survival situations, sapping your body of the heat it so desperately needs to stay alive. The thermal blanket, with its plastic or metallic layer, shields you, turning back the worst of nature's fury. But here's the truly unsettling truth: most people don't carry one. They pass it over in favor of bulkier, more impressive gear, oblivious to the critical role this tiny item plays in preventing the unthinkable. Do you want to gamble with your life out there in the wilderness? Because the absence of this overlooked survival essential could turn even minor accidents into waking nightmares. When darkness falls and the temperature plummets, will you be one of the prepared few holding on to life beneath the thin yet powerful shield of an emergency thermal blanket? Or will you wish you had? Item 4. Multitool with fire starter. Imagine being stranded in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by the cold, encroaching darkness, with no hope of warmth or light. That's the grim reality many face in survival situations, yet few are prepared for it. This is why the Multitool with a fire starter is not just a convenience, it's a lifeline. Overlooked by many, this tool packs the intelligence and adaptability you'll need to claw your way out of the harsh grip of the wilderness. A Multitool on its own is indispensable, offering you a range of functionalities in an all-in-one compact form. From cutting and sawing to opening cans of food or repairing gear, the variety of tools integrated into a single device makes it an essential companion in dire circumstances. But what truly elevates its importance in survival scenarios is the attached fire starter. The ability to light a fire is the fine line between survival and demise. Without fire, harsh cold can seep into your bones, diminishing you physically and mentally. Food becomes nearly impossible to cook, water unsafe to drink, and predators unthreatened by your presence. The fire starter in this Multitool isn't just a luxury, it's your only chance at taming nature's relentless power. Wet wood, freezing temperatures, or malfunctioning lighters can quickly turn an already dire situation into a nightmare. However, the fire starter on this tool isn't bound by those limitations. Designed to produce powerful sparks even in the most inclement conditions, it ensures that no matter how much the storm wants to snuff you out, you'll always have the means to fight back. The real horror lies in the fact that most survival kits don't even include this tool. Think about it, many people venture into the unknown relying on matches or fuel-dependent lighters, which are doomed to fail. A Multitool with an integrated fire starter is a safeguard against unpredictable circumstances, its compact design camouflaging the power it holds. Those without it risk falling prey to the elements, their lives extinguished by their unpreparedness. If there's one item that should never be missing from your arsenal, it's this. A Multitool with a fire starter doesn't just prepare you for the wild, it ensures the wild doesn't swallow you whole. Are you willing to risk facing the cold, unrelenting void without it? Item 5. Compact First Aid Kit. When disaster strikes, when chaos runs rampant, and when safety feels like a distant memory, injury is almost inevitable. Cuts, burns, sprains, or worse, they can happen in an instant. Yet, disturbingly, most people venture into the world entirely unprepared for even the slightest medical emergency. The lack of a compact first aid kit isn't just an oversight, it's negligence that could turn a survivable situation into a deadly one. Imagine this. You're trapped in the aftermath of a massive storm. Debris is everywhere, sharp edges lurking around every corner. A deep gash on your arm begins to bleed profusely. Panic sets in as infection looms or worse, blood loss. You frantically look for supplies to stop the bleeding. But here's the chilling truth. You don't have a first aid kit. Not a bandage, not a sterile wipe, not even duct tape. This desperate scenario could have been avoided with one small, lightweight kit. Yet countless people continue to ignore its importance. Maybe they think emergencies won't happen to them. Maybe they naively assume someone else will be there to help. But the grim reality is that, more often than not, you are your own first responder. A compact first aid kit is a lifeline, a pocket-sized shield against the unknown dangers of a survival scenario. And yet, why do so many of us neglect it? There's something almost reckless about the way society views preparedness. Some trivialize the need, saying medical emergencies are rare, while others feel overly confident in urban environments where help seems only a phone call away. But in those crucial moments when seconds count, waiting for help is a gamble you don't want to take. During a disaster, emergency services might be unreachable or completely overwhelmed. Your survival may rest solely in your hands. Still, most people dismiss this small, life-saving kit as unnecessary, its absence justified by ignorance, denial, or even laziness. Don't be like them. The world is unpredictable. Medical emergencies often happen at the least convenient times, and when they do, you'll wish you had prepared. Neglecting a first aid kit isn't just forgetful, it's dangerous. And in the unforgiving realm of survival, danger is a predator that thrives on your lack of readiness. 6-hand crank radio. Imagine a world where the lights go out, the air grows heavy with silence, and your connection to the outside world is abruptly severed. This is not just a scary thought, it's a grim reality that could strike at any moment. When disasters hit, power outages often follow in their wake, plunging entire neighborhoods, towns, or even cities into darkness. It's in these moments, surrounded by uncertainty and fear, that a hand crank radio transforms from a simple gadget into your lifeline of survival. Traditional radios run on batteries, which become useless once they drain and cannot be replaced. But a hand crank radio? It laughs in the face of dependence on fragile systems like the electrical grid or disposable batteries. With just a few turns of the crank, this device powers up, offering a glimmer of reliability in an otherwise chaotic scenario. You'll hear the voices of critical emergency broadcasts, relaying vital information about storms, evacuations, or government responses. Without it, you're nothing more than a shadow in the dark, cut off from crucial updates that could mean the difference between life and death. Think for a moment about the true horror of being uninformed during a disaster. You may not know where the storm is headed, where safety zones are located, or what resources are forthcoming. The silence would gnaw at your sanity as questions pile up in your head. Is the danger over? Did the worst pass yet? Should I stay or should I flee? Without real-time updates, every decision you make becomes a gamble. But the hand crank radio isn't just about receiving information, it's about empowerment. Knowing that all you need is your own strength to generate power, to pull information from the airwaves, is a chilling yet oddly comforting thought. It strips away the dependence on fragile infrastructures and places survival in your own hands. Trust me, when disaster strikes, you won't just want a hand crank radio, you'll wish you had one in every room. Yet shockingly, almost no one owns this simple tool. It's an item overlooked, dismissed, and left to gather dust on store shelves. Until the day comes when darkness reigns, and those foolish enough to ignore its value are left wandering in silence, wishing they'd prepared for the worst. Item 7: high-calorie energy bars. When it comes to survival situations, energy is your lifeline. Yet, one of the most glaring oversights people make when assembling their survival kits is the lack of high-calorie energy bars. These compact, calorie-dense lifesavers are often dismissed as unnecessary or simply forgotten altogether. That mistake could cost you dearly when the time comes to rely on your grit to stay alive. Imagine being stranded in the wilderness or trapped. During a natural disaster, your body starts to weaken, your mind grows cloudy, and the emptiness in your stomach becomes unbearable. It doesn't take long for hunger to snake its way into your thoughts, clouding your judgment and draining your strength. High-calorie energy bars could mean the difference between life and death in these moments, and yet so few carry them. These bars are designed to pack an impressive amount of energy into a small package. They are engineered specifically for scenarios where every bite counts, providing long-lasting fuel to keep you moving when your body otherwise would have given out. The mixture of fats, carbohydrates, and proteins sustains you during prolonged exertion, ensuring your endurance holds fast, even in the harshest circumstances. Unlike traditional snacks, high-calorie energy bars are non-perishable, portable, and resistant to damage. They sit quietly in your pack, waiting to be deployed at the critical moment, offering you the burst of energy you so desperately need. But why do people neglect such a vital item? It's often a matter of misplaced priorities. Most people focus on the big-ticket survival items: tents, fire starters, weapons, while the seemingly mundane essentials are overlooked. There's also a subconscious dismissal of the seriousness of starvation. You tell yourself you'll find food or that hunger can wait, but hunger doesn't wait. When your reserves run out, it comes for you like a predator, relentless and unyielding. Without easy access to substantial calories, your body will start to consume itself, burning muscle after fat until there's nothing left but exhaustion and desperation. High-calorie energy bars may not seem glamorous, but underestimating their worth could spell disaster. Don't fall into the trap of thinking these small, lightweight items are expendable. When you're battling the elements, chaos, or even your own body, they may be the lifeline that keeps you alive just one more day. Item 8: waterproof matches or lighter. When it comes to survival, fire is not a luxury, it is a lifeline. Yet, countless people overlook the gravity of securing reliable fire-starting tools. Waterproof matches or a sturdy, windproof lighter could mean the difference between life and death in a survival scenario. Imagine the chilling realization of finding yourself in the dead of night, surrounded by an eerie, oppressively silent forest with temperatures dropping mercilessly by the minute. You might scrounge for sticks and leaves, desperately fumble with stones, or hope the spark in a failing lighter suffices. But without proper tools, the encroaching cold won't wait for you to remedy your oversight. The horrifying truth about fire is that it is necessary to protect you from more than just the elements. Without it, you're vulnerable in ways you may not even be able to see or hear. Coyotes, bears, or worse, the unknown darkness. Fire is your shield, warding off dangers both real and imagined. Yet you'd be shocked how many survival kits completely omit waterproof matches or dependable lighters. This tool isn't just about convenience, it's a critical failure point in most disaster preparations. Why would anyone risk it? Even more sinister is the illusion of preparedness. Perhaps you bought ordinary matches and stored them in your pack, unaware of how heartbreakingly fragile they are when exposed to a single drop of water. Or maybe someone told you they could simply rub sticks together. These are comforting lies people tell themselves, not realizing how cruelly unforgiving nature is. Fire does not come easily without the right tools, and time spent failing to make fire is time lost to the elements, dwindling energy, and fading hope. Do not underestimate this survival essential. A lighter that works against brutal winds, waterproof matches stored in an airtight case, or even a magnesium fire starter can keep despair at bay. Think about it: the warmth, light, safety, and ability to cook or purify water, all determined by one simple item in your kit. The mere thought of enduring the wilderness without these tools is sheer recklessness. Preparation might cost you a few moments and dollars now, but failing to prepare could cost you far, far more. Item 9: Paracord bracelet. When it comes to survival in the wilderness or during catastrophic events, few tools are as versatile and wildly underestimated as the Paracord bracelet. It may seem insignificant at first glance, just a band of braided nylon rope worn around the wrist. But make no mistake, this unassuming accessory holds the power to tip the scale between life and death in dire situations. Surrounded by chaos and desperation, those without it might find themselves wishing they had paid heed to its utility before the inevitable struck. A Paracord bracelet is a treasure trove of survival potential, compressed into a deceptively small package. Unraveled, the paracord can stretch out to several feet of high tensile rope, strong enough to carry significant weight or endure immense tension. Imagine you're stranded in a wilderness plagued by predators or harsh terrain, needing something to secure a makeshift shelter, rappel down a cliff, or even construct a trap for food. That seemingly decorative piece of cord becomes your lifeline, its threads capable of bearing your burdens when there is no one else to rely upon. You can use the inner strands of the paracord as fishing line, sutures for a gaping wound, or even thread for mending torn gear. Those who disregard its importance may find themselves woefully unprepared when nature turns against them. But why does the paracord bracelet remain so underrated? Perhaps it's because it doesn't scream survival prowess in the way that a multi-tool or fire starter might. Overshadowed by flashier equipment, its mundane appearance fools people into thinking it's just a gimmick or a glorified decoration. However, those who sneer at its simplicity are making a grave mistake. Underestimate the Paracord bracelet, and you might as well be underestimating your own vulnerability. When disaster strikes and you're battling the elements or scavenging for resources, the lack of this compact, multifunctional device can amplify your peril exponentially. The scariest thing about the Paracord bracelet isn't what it is, it's what happens when you don't have it. There is an eerie kind of dread that accompanies being caught unprepared, knowing something so small and affordable could have reversed your fate. Beware the danger of ignoring its hidden strength. Shall the day of reckoning come, you'll wish it was already wrapped around your wrist, whispering promises of salvation as the world descends into chaos. Item 10. Personal water container. Water is the essence of life, yet so many find themselves woefully unprepared to secure it when it matters most. A personal water container is not just a convenience, it is a lifeline. Imagine the desperation of searching for water in an emergency, only to realize you have nothing to store it in. Without a proper container, even the cleanest freshwater source becomes useless. There is no way to transport or ration it properly, leaving you at the mercy of an unforgiving environment. This critical tool separates survival from disaster, and yet it's often ignored in favor of flashier, seemingly essential gear. People rarely think about personal water storage because they assume water will always be accessible, clean, and ready for consumption. This kind of thinking is a dangerous illusion, fostered by the comforts of modern living. We often forget how fragile these conveniences are. Natural disasters, infrastructure collapses, or wilderness scenarios can strip us of access to treated water in the blink of an eye. And without a reliable container, even those who manage to secure a source of hydration are left vulnerable. Whether it's a cracked plastic bottle or a hastily grabbed cup, inferior solutions put survival at risk when every drop counts. The idea of overlooking a personal water container might seem trivial, but the consequences are dire. Dehydration can incapacitate you quickly, stealing your strength and clarity of thought. Within days or even hours in extreme heat, the lack of water can set the stage for a quiet but certain death. And yet, in every survival scenario, far too many people find themselves ill-equipped to safeguard one of humanity's most basic needs. It's as if the simplicity of a water container leads people to dismiss it, favoring gadgets that promise a more exciting sense of preparedness. But the truth is chilling. When the world goes dark and chaos unfolds, all the fire starters, knives, and emergency radios in the world won't save you if you don't have water. A personal water container is more than a humble device, it is a symbol of foresight, a beacon of hope for those with the wisdom to prepare for life's cruelest tests. Ignore it, and you might just pay the ultimate price. Don't be caught without one. 11. Signal mirror. Imagine yourself lost in the wilderness, miles away from civilization, with nothing but dense forest or an endless expanse of barren land surrounding you. Your voice can carry only so far, fading into the abyss of nature's silence. Flare guns are bulky, and some signaling devices rely on batteries that might fail you at the worst moment. But what if I told you there was a tiny piece of survival gear so unassuming, yet so powerful that it could scream for help across vast distances? Enter the signal mirror, a deceptively simple tool that could be the difference between life and death. This pocket-sized savior often flies under the radar, overshadowed by flashier survival gadgets, but its potential to save your life is genuinely frightening to overlook. The signal mirror is unique in its ability to manipulate sunlight into a piercing beam of light that can travel for miles. Picture this beam cutting through the desolation, a message of desperation flashing across stones, trees, and even skies, calling out for anyone to see you. The mere thought of this tiny, compact mirror being your lifeline in a desolate landscape sends shivers down the spine. But here's the true horror of it all: most people don't include one in their survival kits, not even realizing how essential it could be until it's too late. Its design adds to the eerie brilliance of its utility. Lightweight and small enough to slip into the tiniest pocket of your gear, it seems almost inconsequential at first glance. Yet in the right hands, it's a beacon of hope. A well-aimed flash of light could alert a passing aircraft, a boat on the horizon, or even rescuers combing the area far from where your voice could reach. It's haunting to think how such an unassuming object could hold the key to your rescue when all other methods fail. There's an unsettling irony in the fact that so few people carry this life-saving tool, despite its simplicity and effectiveness. What's even more chilling is imagining how many have been lost, stranded, or left waiting because they lacked something so seemingly insignificant. The signal mirror is a stark reminder of how the smallest, most overlooked items can hold immense power over fate. Don't be the one caught without it in those critical, terrifying moments. This reflective lifesaver could be your final shot at survival. Item 12: Emergency Whistle. Survival situations are as unpredictable as they are terrifying, and when you find yourself stranded, injured, or completely alone, your voice will fail you before help arrives. That is why an emergency whistle is an absolute non-negotiable when it comes to survival gear. It may not look intimidating or high-tech, but this unassuming item could very well be the difference between life and death. Picture yourself lost in a desolate forest or buried under rubble after a natural disaster, the sound of your own shouting dwindling to a hoarse whisper. Your chances of survival plummet with every desperate call. An emergency whistle, however, is your lifeline in the most harrowing of scenarios. Despite its almost magical ability to pierce through the most chaotic environments, the emergency whistle remains one of the most severely underestimated items in survival kits. Many people dismiss it as unnecessary or redundant in today's age of smartphones and GPS devices. But here's the horrifying truth: when technology fails, your voice and visibility are your only tools to capture someone's attention. Phones lose signal, batteries die, and darkness swallows every detail of your surroundings. A whistle, on the other hand, needs neither electricity nor an internet connection. Its sharp, shrill scream cuts through winds, echoes against walls of debris, and commands attention in a way no human voice ever could. Emergency responders are trained to listen for whistles amidst the chaos, and it could be a beacon that leads rescuers directly to your location. Still, most people ignore it when creating their survival kits, casually brushing off its inexpensive simplicity. This oversight isn't just careless, it's downright dangerous. Imagine lying incapacitated with no means of movement, your voice too weak to carry far. Your fear grows as time slips away. A whistle could amplify your presence, projecting your cry for help to distances far beyond what would otherwise be possible. Yet people balk at its inclusion, choosing flashier or more advanced tools instead. The terrifying reality is that in those critical, heart-pounding moments of survival, the simplest item, the one you took for granted, could save your life. Do not be one of those who regret their arrogance when they're swallowed by the silence of the wilderness. Pack a whistle. Carry it always. Because when disaster strikes, no one will hear you unless you make yourself heard. Final thoughts. Survival doesn't give second chances, it's unforgiving, brutal, and often comes when you least expect it. The 12 items discussed aren't just suggestions, they're necessities, lifelines in scenarios where the odds are stacked against you. Each one, from the rarely considered signal mirror to the underestimated emergency whistle, holds the potential to save lives. Their common thread? They are overlooked, underestimated, or outright ignored by most. It's easy to fall into the trap of focusing on flashy, high-tech gadgets, believing that the latest advancements will guarantee survival. But true preparedness lies in the balance between simplicity and functionality. These unassuming tools, often sidelined, quietly prove their worth when everything else fails. The key to survival is preparation, and preparation demands a plan. Don't wait until it's too late to realize the importance of having the right tools within reach. Pack these 12 items in your survival kit, make them a priority. Because when the unimaginable happens, it's the small, undervalued, and often forgotten things that could mean the difference between life and death. Be ready. Be smart. Be the one who survives.